RotoGrinders, NBA, DFS, nonstop, 2 hours, up to lock. Good Lord, 12 games. This a lot of body parts are out. We'll get to it as we get to it. But this is the Millionaire Winner show, by the way. Of course, Andre's won a Millionaire Maker. Bobby's won a Millionaire Maker. Little asterisk by mine. I split it with several hundreds of my friends. And I might have won like 4K, but technically, nobody beat me in a show.
I think it still counts, right, Dean? I would say so.
I mean, not in the checkbook, but I mean, theoretically, I can say it. I'm totally lying, and it's misleading. But it's not a lie; it's misleading. But you guys certainly have won solo. You solo shipped $1 million. Must be nice. Bobby, this slate, man. It's a wild one. It's a 12-gamer. I think it's our first true like stars and scrubs slate that we've had this season.
Yeah,
we'll kind of dig into that. Some slates, if a player is 3K on DK and they put up 19, 20 points, that's useful. I don't think that's useful on this slate. Like people do like the 6X thing, and that, again, it depends on the slate. Everything is kind of slate dependent. In this one, there's so many players that are 3 or 4K. And we'll talk about it. Namely, the Warriors. The Warriors sitting 4 of their best players on the back half of a back-to-back. I love how they gave like injury management to a couple players, and they made up a couple body parts for Steph. Like Steph, they gave him an elbow. I think Draymond, they gave him like a leg or something. Clay, come on, we know what you're doing. It's a back half of back-to-back, whatever. It's a long season. Game doesn't matter, yada, yada. Although the Warriors have stunk so far this year. But, yeah, Bobby, it's 12 games. Not a ton of time for pleasantries, but you have any general overarching thoughts as far as a slate? Because it's tons of studs, some really good spots. More information as we as this show is going to go on. More body parts are going to open up as well. There's other things we're monitoring. Just saw Anthony Simons not too long ago was ruled out. So the 1 and the 1A in Portland, their guards, their backcourt is depleted. LeBron, I think, is technically probable, but we'll see. He's supposed to go. He's another guy in a late game. Bam Adebayo is questionable. Joel Embiid is questionable. We know Harden's already ruled out. There's a lot. Do you have any overarching thoughts before we kind of dive in and break it down game by game?
I think you kind of covered the majority of it, right? Like, it's going to be a studs and duds slate, big slate, 12-gamer. Paying up, all the studs are basically on the slate. So we're going to have a lot of news. You're going to have to be by your computer on a Friday night. I know it's not the greatest, but if you're grinding it out, it could be an edge,
Yeah, don't make any plans if you're MMEing or if you have one lineup. Like if you want to be on top of things, news is going to break as well. Donovan Mitchell is another guy who's questionable. There's several others. Rudy Gobert had the fish not feeling particularly well, so he's questionable too. As is Anthony Edwards. Something going through that team there in Minnesota. They've also been terrible. Andre, what do you have as far as thoughts? 3,000-foot view, whatever they say, however far away you are from the slate. Overarching general thoughts before we're going to dive in and break it down game by game.
I think it's a really interesting slate. We got a lot of value. It could be a stars and scrubs slate, but I also think you can still make a mid-range build a little bit and find a way to win tonight too, because it just depends on how you want to do it. If you run a couple lineups, I would probably make some with a mixture of both and see what happens, and we'll get you to the top.
Just going to run some optimals. I wonder how many Warriors are popping up in optimal lineups right now. Is it 3 or is it 4?
Probably 4. Well, depending on the site you're running, but I would say probably 4.
Do you have any rules you're putting in place to maybe be a little bit different? Are you subduing that? Are you going to make it maybe 2 or possibly 3?
See, I love that game today, and that was like on the show earlier, Fanduel Friday show. I put Steph Curry and Zion as like 2 plays I love. So I'm just concerned about it being a blowout. But Jordan Poole's definitely like a lock in my opinion. So at least him. I really like Kuminga tonight. But it also depends on how they run their lineups and what they're going to do. Moses Moody would be an option. So I can see myself running at the most 3, but no more.
Yeah. You have a rule for that, Bobby, by chance? As I'm running my apples, I want to see how many are actually popping in. But are you putting anything in place as far as are you MMAing today or making one lineup or what?
I'm making one lineup, usually until like NFL kind of commences. I play one lineup in NBA, but then I'll probably max enter from there. For me, it's probably, I don't know. I might be, I think at most 3 is fine. Maybe max 2, however you see fit, depending on what your feeling is in terms of the Golden State value.
All right. Made some optimal lineups on DK. I did cap like no more than 73% of lineups would you land in. And 3 players hit my cap. Moses Moody, Jonathan Kuminga, and Jordan Poole.
Yeah.
The first 3 lineups have 3 Warriors. Those 3 Warriors. I see TJ in chat. What's up, TJ? I think Ty Jerome's kind of interesting too. He's a guy that like, if no matter how scrolly this game gets, like his minutes are pretty locked. And Golden State is thin. I think they just have 10 bodies. They're especially thin in the backcourt as far as smalls. If this game gets ugly, Jerome, he's getting minutes either way, but he'll get even more minutes in the backcourt. I don't think he starts. Well, maybe he starts. We'll see. Actually, are we projecting him to start? He might. No, we're not projecting him to start, but there really is not much guard depth. Ryan Rollins is behind Ty Jerome, and then you got some bigs on the bench and Lamb, Wiseman, and Baldwin. All right, we'll talk about Golden State soon enough. What do we have on FanDuel as far as did I put any rules here? Oh, I got to change my rules around. Never mind. I'll do some optimizers of FanDuel as well too. I'm sure you're getting at least 2 or 3 Warriors in their quote unquote optimizer cash game build. But very first game of the slate, there's a bunch of 7:00 games actually. I think there's 4, right? 1, 2, 3. Yeah, 4 7:00 games right out the gate. First one we'll talk about is hey Andre, it's our Miami Heat. The Miami Heat, they are in Indiana. 227 is the total. They're about 4-point favorites here. Little tricky right now to have the conversation because Bam Adebayo is questionable with his knee. The beats seem to suggest that he's going to go. Bigger story is that Jimmy Butler is out with his hip. Also, Dwayne Dedmon, the backup 5, is also questionable with the foot. As far as the Indiana side, they're pretty much healthy. Naismith is questionable with his foot. I think it was a Duarte that took advantage of that last time out. He had clearly his best game of the season. And we saw Kyle Lowry, Andre, resurrected. Look at that, out of nowhere. And Tyler Hero with his eye. I guess he saw just fine. I know he hit that walk-off 3, although they called it was a travel after the game. Doesn't matter, I suppose.
A win's a win. Take it.
Yeah, scoreboard, right?
Yep.
Yeah, as far as the Miami side, and of course the matchup against Indiana is really good, really pure. Also, for the record, these 2 teams have allowed the most made 3-pointers. Both teams, Miami and Indiana, are 1 and 2 as far as allowing 3-pointers so far this season. Start with Miami, Andre. I guess if Bam goes, he's certainly in play, yes?
Oh, yeah, definitely for sure. Gotta love him today. He's one of the top plays, one of the better spends on the slate. And in the mid-range price, especially on FanDuel at 8.3K. But Miles Turner is someone you have to deal with, but Bam should be able to step up here and have a good game. But my favorite player, obviously, from this game is going to be Tyler Hero. I honestly, personally think he's another person you have to lock in today. His usage is just going to be high. It's going to be at least 27%, maybe even higher. I haven't really got a chance to look into it yet, but I just think Tyler Hero is probably one of the better players on the slate. This game's going to be a little bit faster too because Indy does typically try to push the pace a little bit with Tyrese Halliburton pushing the ball up. So it makes Tyler Hero, to me, an excellent spot for Tyler Hero. I do like getting to some of these other guys. Kyle Lowry, I think it's a tournament play. I like when me and TJ were talking earlier on the FanDuel show, we were talking about possibly fading Kyle Lowry a little bit, and I kind of think that might be a good idea just because he might only give you 30 fantasy points. I just think that Tyler Hero is just the main guy that's going to want to take advantage and want to try to score a lot. Kyle Lowry, I don't think is my personal opinion, the right way to go. I would be underweight on him. I do like getting to these other guys in tournaments like Max Strus, a little bit of Duncan Robinson, and Gabe Vincent and Caleb Martin as well.
As far as pace, you're talking about Indiana 6th so far in pace this season. Certainly an up in pace game for Miami. Miami is 26th this year.
Mm-hmm.
Also, Indiana not just playing fast, playing poor defensively. The 4th worst defensive ranked team. Bobby, feel free to talk about Miami. Anything that stands out for you as far as the Heat? If Bam doesn't go, I mean, I think he goes, but if he doesn't go, I mean, I'm not really sure what happens here. Like Dedmon, if he goes, theoretically he can jump in the starting lineup and play some decent amount of minutes, but because Yurtseven is still out too, right? So one of their big
Dedmon as a Q tag as well, though, correct?
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Yeah, if Bam doesn't go, I just think Bam goes, but we'll see. Stay tuned, and we'll know this 7:00 game. But yeah, as of right now, what do you have as far as Miami? And then feel free to jump over to Indiana. The Heat's defense does take a hit without Butler, and it would take a hit if Bam doesn't go as well. But yeah, Indiana, it's a 12-game slate. And I have a hard time getting behind anybody in Indiana outside of maybe some Halliburton, but it is a good Buddy Hield spot. We talked about Miami being really, really good at yielding three-pointers, and Buddy is going to fire from three, so I don't mind him. That's basically it for me in Indiana. How about yourself?
Yeah, I'm with you on the Indiana side. Like, there's not really much I love. Like you said, Miami struggles from three. You can make a case for Hield. You can make a case for Duarte. Duarte's minutes, just I worry about like them fluctuating, so I don't know if I'd really be interested on a 12-game slate. In terms of the Heat, if Dedmon sits, and I think Bam's going to play, I really like Bam as a play in that situation. We've seen him really dominate the last two times Dedmon was out, so I don't mind going to Bam there. I don't hate Kyle Lowry. I also don't hate the hero call. I think I prefer this is probably it's going against like I think right now I prefer Lowry. Maybe that's not the best take, but I'm playing one lineup. So if I was playing MME, I don't know. I'd probably be a little bit over or with the field on him. Or underweight, I guess. But I don't know. For me, it's just Bam is like a priority. I think you make a case for Gabe Vincent. He's another one. And obviously, Harrow's seeing the usage bump, so you play Harrow as well.
You think you can play Gabe Vincent, though? Like if you're making one lineup today, And
not if you're playing one. I'm talking about from like an MME standpoint.
Yeah. That seems like a tournament fire. But like if I'm making one lineup today, and Andre, I assume you feel the same. Like if you're making one lineup, you're probably not getting the Vincent.
Yeah, I'm making like one lineup today as well. So I'm not getting the Gabe Vincent in that one lineup.
Ran some optimals, by the way, on Fanduel, just kind of messing around. And depending on, we're seeing 3 Warriors. I've seen 4 in a couple, just because they're so cheap and the minutes are pretty solidified. Jordan Poole, of course, is landing in all of them. We'll talk about that soon enough. There is potential for blowout, though, obviously, but he's going to be firing away until or if that game does get out of hand. We should move on to the 12-gamer. We got to do our best to pace this one appropriately. New York and Philly, 219.5 is the total. Philadelphia is a 3-point favorite here. Another one as far as guys, we're monitoring who's in, who's out, that kind of thing. Big deal on the Philadelphia side. But we know Harden's going to be out for a month or so with his foot. Thybulle's got an ankle, so he's questionable. But the big one is Joel Embiid potentially coming back from his illness. He was at least at practice, I think, for parts of practice. It is a home game as well, too. My lean is he'll play, but just a guess. I have no idea. And New York, I believe, is fully healthy. For me, Andre, teams that are fully healthy today on this 12-game slate with a lot of guys opening up in lower spots, getting bumps. I'm not prioritizing anybody in New York. Like, is it possible Randall can have a day? Sure. Barrett, Brunson, of course. But nothing on that. Nothing says I'm supposed to play any Knicks today outside of like betting on variance, betting on ceiling games, which are unlikely but possible.
Yeah, I'm not playing anyone in New York besides RJ Barrett, if anyone, and that's really it. That's because he has the upside, I think, to where he can give you at 5.8K on FanDuel has the upside where he can give you 40 to 45 fantasy points. So that's the only player I can see myself playing from New York today.
You got anything, Bobby? You want to sell us on anybody in New York, or you want to talk about Philadelphia?
I'm not going to have any Knicks on one team. I don't even think, like you said at the top, basically full team on a 12-game slate. I don't think we really need to go there.
What about Tyrese Maxey? Maxey, he's very, scoring reliant, but he also can score 35 points here against New York. It wouldn't shock any of us. He kind of sort of has to on FanDuel. I don't know if he has to score that many, but FanDuel was really proactive as far as his price. I think he's at 8K over there. But on DK, Maxey is 6.5, which seems a little bit too low. Again, there's great plays all up and down this slate. We're currently projecting 26% ownership for Maxey, but ownership right now is really tough to peg with all the moving parts. So I would wait until later. I wouldn't necessarily assume ownership is perfect right now, if that makes sense, just because many things are still shifting as far as basketball, and it's tough to figure that out. But and Embiid's kind of lost on this slate, at least according to projection, like 7% on DK. I guess that's about right. Where he's 10-2 on FanDuel. He's right around 10, if I'm not mistaken. I'm jumping over there as I'm saying some words. Yeah, 10 exactly. 12.6K. It's a weird slate. 12 gamer and center is not like amazing today. It's fine, but it feels like one of the weaker positions to me. Your thoughts on that, Bobby, and just Philadelphia in general?
Yeah, it seems weaker. Like you said, you hit on Maxey. It's a 9% usage increase in this situation. And then in terms of I think Melton at 4.4 is going to be a nice value play like you can go to in this situation. He's done really well, so I don't mind going to Melton. I feel like he's going to be like the third best value maybe. So a lot of people are going to have him, but I think he's a fine play. With Embiid out, maybe Tobias would definitely see like a little bit of a usage increase, and also no Harden, so Tobias would see an usage. I think you can make a case for Harris. I would prefer Tyrese though, if I'm going for guys above that are a little up in salary relative to the value pieces.
Yeah, Harris is fine. Like with Embiid in or out, I think either way he's fine. 5'8", I'm okay with it. I'm trying to see, so they would. I assume they would put Tucker at the 5. Is that what we expect? That's what they've done so far. Yeah. But I don't know. New York's kind of Robinson's long. He's not like huge and girthy, but he's a long. I'm not sure what they would do as far as. I assume it would be Tucker moving up to the 5, and then they throw. Who would they start? I don't know.
I think it would be Tucker.
Yeah, he's already starting. I'm just saying, who else? Who would they add to Philadelphia's starting lineup? Just
Melton doesn't start, right? So he would be added to the lineup. That's all. But I personally think that if Embiid doesn't play, I think you gotta take some shots on Montrezl Harrell in tournaments.
Even if he doesn't start.
Yeah, I played him one year when he didn't start and won like $20,000. So and he only played 25 minutes. So and even in 15 minutes he can give you 30 fantasy points, especially if he's really active and on the boards and getting steals and blocks. So I like that as a deep tournament player like MME. And
I just don't think he's that guy anymore. I think he was an energy guy that's kind of lost his energy, and Philadelphia doesn't trust him either. Like they're just not giving any run. Even in games when Embiid's out. He was a late signing over there too. I don't think they like him. It's sort of my general take on it. But yeah, and he's 4'5". He's not even like 3K. Yeah. That's a hard sell for me, but fair enough. Anything else there? Andre, what do you have as far as Philadelphia? Who's your favorite player on Philly?
If Joel Embiid plays, he's my favorite Philadelphia 76er to go with.
I love that. And
he's a guy that's going to be hardly owned, so the upside there is tremendous. And honestly, I put a bet together early in the year for him to win MVP. So this is his time to really shine and show out why he deserves to be MVP this year. So he needs to just play today and go on a string of mayhem and just dominate.
It's funny. I was just talking to somebody the other day, and I was like, I think his window's closed. I think it's over.
Nah.
I think it's over.
Nah.
His MVP window I'm talking about.
Oh yeah, I know. No,
I mean, like for his career, I think it's never going to happen. He had his best chances, and it's never going to happen.
This is his last year, I think.
Giannis is playing too good. Luka's playing too good.
They're going to cool off.
All right.
Giannis is only doing that because Middleton's not here yet. That's why.
Maybe. Yeah. I mean, Giannis has been out of this. I'm like, I know at some point, like the voters get bored of voting. The same thing happened with Jordan. Same thing happened with LeBron. They just get bored of voting for the same person. They just, okay, who's next? And that guy's got enough. But Giannis has won back-to-back, right? Am I not mistaken? No, wait. Is that right? Or did Jokic?
Jokic went back-to-back. Then it was Giannis before that.
Okay. Yeah. But, yeah, fair enough. And Embiid's got the plantar fasciitis they're talking about and history of injuries. But I hope it's like at least 20-1. What are the odds you got in that, Joel? 15, 20, 25?
I'll let you know in a second. I got to go to it.
All right. We got anything else here, Bobby? Are we good to go? Moving on?
I'm with you. I just didn't talk about, like Andre said, if Embiid's in, he's a very, very good tournament play.
Yeah. By the way, let's see. Wizards lineup, as expected, pretty standard. Gill is back in there. They're giving us stuff for Saturday. Trae Young's got an eye, so he's questionable tomorrow. Okay. Keep an eye on that. We're playing tomorrow's slate. Let's move on. Let's talk about Brooklyn and Washington. Speaking of Washington, 225.5 is the total. Brooklyn 3-point dog here. Washington and Brooklyn. No Kyrie. Kyrie's not going to be starting. Obviously, he's not going to be playing. We're projecting Edmund Sumner to jump in the starting lineup. Sumner with Harris, Royce O'Neal, Durant, Claxton. The other side, Morris, Beal, Gill, Kuzma, and Porzingis. Start of the day here, Andre, like one of the best plays. Just, everybody's, obviously you look at the data back to last year. No Harden on this team in Brooklyn anymore. No Kyrie. So it's the Durant show. Theoretically, Durant should be running everything here in Brooklyn. They've been one of the more disappointing teams, obviously. He seems like one of the best big spends on this slate. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. He's at a position now where he has to do everything for this team. It's impossible. It's impossible to not want to play him, but then at the same time, he's so reliant on scoring. And he can't. And this anyone can have a bad game at any given moment. So it's just really dependent on it. But I still think at that price, he definitely is probably the best player on the slate.
Bobby, is that your favorite stud in the slate, Durant, or is it somebody else, or is he on the podium at least for you? Thoughts as far?
Yeah, he's up there. I really like Durant. And Embiid's up there too, though. That's the one I don't know, like Andre kind of hit on. I think Embiid's a really good play, but Durant's right there with him.
Yeah. I'm trying to think, is there anybody else on Brooklyn? Like Sumner, maybe. I don't trust it necessarily, and I think there's other cheap value that's probably better than Sumner is kind of where I'm at. I think I like the Golden State stuff better than I like Sumner, just as one starting point. Do you guys either?
I don't hate Watanabe. We have him for 28 minutes. He's 3.5. I know there's a ton of value, but if you're playing MME, I think he's someone that's in play. Joe Harris should see increased role. I don't know how much Joe Harris I would have in a single entry, but also think he's in play in MME. Favorite play from this game, probably Porzingis. Like you're taking, it's like a really good spot for Porzingis, right? So he would be someone I'd be trying to get to. Don't really play Bradley Beal a ton, but I think Porzingis bigs versus the Nets, like we're playing them as much as we can.
All right, we got producer Steve dropping us notes here in chat. What's up, chat? Hit that like button, subscribe, and turn on those notifications. Help us beat the old algorithm. Doc Rivers hopes to have Embiid tonight. Doc is always playing games with us. Embiid was sick, and I think he practiced in parts today, so I feel pretty optimistic he plays. I don't know if his minutes take a hit because of that, but I assume if he's back, he's back. Maybe he loses a couple, plays like 32, 33 or something like that. I do agree, by the way, with you, Bobby. The favorite play as far as the run back is Porzingis. Before the show, I was messing around with some lineups on FanDuel, just kind of locked in Porzingis and locked in the Durant and kind of see what I can get around it. I like that as a run back. My favorite player on Washington is Porzingis over Beal. How about yourself, Andre? How do you feel about the Wizards?
Washington, I only got Porzingis in my player pool today. That's it. In an amazing spot. I think he should be able to do whatever he wants against this front line here.
The other note here, I guess not a surprise, Melton expected to start in the absence of James Harden. Kind of assumed that would be the case. You were talking pre-show, Andre. Do you want to tout your the dart?
I'm not giving out the business like that, but one of my friends, we know Cam Thomas a little bit, so I'm trying to find out if he's going to be playing and getting more minutes, because I think he's a fantastic GPP play at 3.6 on FanDuel, and I think he's probably mid-price on DK as well. If he gets even 20 to 25 minutes, he can absolutely have a ceiling game, because all he's just going to do is come in there and shoot, run pick and roll, and maybe get some assists in there too as well. And I could obviously see a couple steals and blocks in there as well. More so steals than anything.
I mean, we saw him get loose last year when he had an opportunity. It's just that, I mean, Edmund Sumner and like the ghost of Patty Mills, like David Duke, these players are not very good. And he's also like got off on was it Instagram? He wasn't very happy about this playing time. Not really sure where the organization is with him right now, but he is one of those guys that they give an opportunity to. He'll do his best to try and take it. We'll see. Again, 12-game slate, right? Wouldn't shock me if he started. Wouldn't shock me if he played like 0 minutes. like neither would shock me. That's kind of where I'm at on the Andre. But like you're talking deep tournament stuff.
Yeah.
All right. We got anything else here? Are we moving on here, Bobby?
I think you can move on.
We're plowing on through. If you guys have any questions in chat, feel free to fire them off. I'll do my best to get to them. If it's pertinent to the game, that's even better. Obviously, if we're missing a player, like, well, why didn't you guys talk about, let's see, why didn't we talk about Royce O'Neal? He was good his last game. Well, we kind of used him in a pinch, and he hit his threes, and that was all fun, right? But you're never really
the minutes for Royce are like okay, but it's a 12-game slate. They've been really good. I shouldn't say okay, but like you said, it's a 12-game slate, so there's probably better plays.
Yeah,
and MME,
he's going to play 35 minutes, but he's going to stand in the corner basically. And he can make some threes, and he can play some defense, but you really can't expect him to do much more than like 25 fantasy points or so. There's your mush play of the day. TJ in chat says he'd rather play Royce than Lowry. I mean, it's a different price and it's a different position. Why would you do that? Why would you pick a player?
I mean, that's a bold one, TJ. I don't know. Like, and I'm not even playing either one, but Royce over Lowry.
What is it about Royce O'Neal that you think he's going to be so special today? I'm confused. I'm asking this to TJ.
They're so short-handed, but yeah, I don't know. I don't get the rationale.
Well, his minutes go from 34 minutes to 35 minutes. Like, he's already playing. He can only play so many minutes, right? Like, they've already been solidified, right?
And he's saying he's 5'2", and Lowry is
he's 5'4". Yeah, he's also a different position. TJ's derailing the show. It's an anti-chalk take. Wait, hold on. It's an anti-chalk Lowry take? How chalky is Lowry going to be?
Like 20-something% off FanDuel at least.
I might take the under in that. We'll see. That's a big number. And his price has adjusted. We'll talk about that. No, wait, we won't talk about that because we've already talked about Miami. What is his price?
20. He's 6'5" on FanDuel, 6'3" on DraftKings. He's 23 coming at 20% on DK and 23% on FanDuel.
Yeah, I mean, I like Lowry, but if I was running 100 lineups, I'd probably be under 23%. But I wouldn't just X him out, and I wouldn't be playing Royce O'Neal instead of him. Like, I don't know. All right, we'll move on. Got to get TJ in one of these shows soon enough. All right, Cleveland. We talked to him earlier in the year. Cleveland and Detroit is the last of the 7:00 games. 220 is the total. Cleveland, 5-point favorite here. We just saw news on Jalen Duran being a game time decision. So I say news, but that's not really news. We've seen Isaiah Stewart in one of their, basically that's the backup for Stewart. So he does pretty well in the absence of Duran. But this matchup, of course, against Cleveland's not very good. Mobley and Allen really, really solid on the inside. As far as Cleveland, well, I don't know. We got Donovan Mitchell is questionable with his ankle, and Darius Garland's got a knee, so he's questionable too. If both those guys don't go, it could be Karis LeVert's season. Even if one of them doesn't go, you could still play some LeVert. We saw Garland. We were flat out lied to basically last time, I guess. They went overtime. We were told that Garland's going to play in spurts. Well, I can't remember what was the phrase they used. Shorter stints. But you play 43 minutes of short stints. Yeah. But we're kind of in limbo here, Bobby, as far as Cleveland, because their two big pieces are questionable. So what are we doing?
Yeah, we need this news. If they both played, I think I'd probably prefer Garland. On the Detroit side, I'd try to run it back. Like, you can make a case. You said Stewart with Durant out is fine. Cade Cunningham would also be the other guy that I'd have interest in. There isn't really too much from this game that I love. If you're playing MME, you can make a case for Allen or Kevin Love for that matter. But I don't have too much really here that I would want to attack.
I like the Jared Allen price on FanDuel a little bit at 6.8K. He's grabbing some ownership too. And again, the ownership stuff, it's really tricky to peg it right now. Still an hour and a half until lock, and still plenty of time for some news to shake up the slate even more. Looking at DK as far as the ownership here, and yeah, Garland's got a really good price over there at 6.9K. I held for if anybody wanted that low hanging fruit of 6.9. We're looking at 22% ownership over there for Garland. Cunningham 7.7, reasonable price as well. If Garland and Mitchell both happen to sit, LeVert looks like he will run the show for sure. There's just so much other good stuff out there, but I think I would prioritize that to some degree if both are out. What do you have here, Andre? Again, it's really hard to play the if-then game with all the different potential routes for Cleveland, especially.
Yeah, I need that news just here for my bets. But if I was to like use anyone, it would probably be Garland. I don't mind Mobley at 6K, but I need one of those guys to be out. But if all of them are in, just Garland for me probably, and that would be it. Everyone else would be crossed out. I can't see Mobley having an upside game as far as with everyone being here, in play. And as far as and also with Jared Allen. Jared Allen is probably the only other guy, but that's only because he's not relying on scoring. He get the blocks and steals upside as well, but more than likely, like I said, just Garland, and that's it.
Daniel House question. Well, that does not matter, but okay, just wanted to note that. Bobby, you got anything else here in this game that's of note that we should talk about, or shall we move on?
I think we can move on. I don't think we're going to like the next game too much, though, either, if we're following what I think.
We got to acknowledge it, and I think this is the first half of the ESPN doubleheader for what it's worth. Bulls, Celtics, like some good players. This is one of those classic, probably better game to watch than to get to from a DFS perspective because, both these teams are expected to be healthy. Chicago is, a 7-point dog here. 223.5 is the total. As far as the Chicago side, I mean, they're without Andre Drummond, which, that gives a bump to Vukovic as a potential minutes. He could play maybe up to 36 or so. Kobe White is also out with his quad. That would lean a few more minutes to Caruso and, Dragic and Dosunmu. But for me, none of them are priorities as far as Boston. Robert Williams obviously still out, but everybody else is good to go. I'll throw it to Andre then. Do you want to sell us anybody? Jason Tatum's spectacular, but, there's no reason to think he's the best stud today. Can he be? Of course. But, he's not working his way into my first lineup.
Yeah, I would say there's no way you can play him in your first lineup, but I think they are good. I think Tatum and Brown are excellent tournament plays. Like these guys can just go back and forth and have a crazy ceiling and have an upside game here. Especially Jaylen Brown at 8.3K. I think that price is exceptional. He easily get 45, 50, maybe even 55 in this spot because he can do it all: rebound, assist, score. Blocks and steals as well. So if he fills up the stat sheet like that, I wouldn't be surprised if I see that game from Jaylen Brown. He'd probably be my favorite Boston Celtics guy to go with here. Other than that, that's really it.
What do you got, Bobby?
Andre, like if I was playing MME, I think Andre sold me to. It would make a good case to play Tatum and Brown. Andre, what question would you be running back Tatum and Brown with maybe a Vooch just because of the spread if you're MMEing?
I would run it back probably with either Vooch or probably Zach LaVine, maybe even DeMar too, because DeMar's price, even though it's a little bit high, because that'll be just a contrarian build in general at that point. So I might as well just make the whole little game stack contrarian and then go from there.
I think it's an interesting call for MME.
It's a good question in chat, Bobby, and I like doing this, especially when I'm doing the shows, which is always. If I can get away with it, like not playing the guys at 7:00 and just, sort of buying myself some more time, give myself, more time to make lineups. Basically he's asking, can we just cut off all the 7:00 games? That's the 4 of them.
No.
And there's some really good players in these games. Like Melton on DK at 4-4 is a really good play. Maxey's 6-5 is a really strong play. I like Lowry. I don't love Lowry. I think Durant's a phenomenal play, obviously. Like, can you still make – I think you can. I wouldn't advise it if you're making a bunch of lineups.
So maybe not for this slate, but other slates, I think it's firmly in place. It's just the context of the slate, right? Like, we've seen, single, 2 game, the evening games or whatever go off and outscore, the main slate's optimal. So you can make a case for it on other slates. I just wouldn't do it here either.
Yeah, I mean, of course, you can always just and I'll do it sometimes as well, just say, I love Melton, and that's that. So I'm just going to lock Melton in and backload with a bunch of nonsense, and I'll figure it out. That's something I'll do sometimes also. Just, work my way around it, just plug him into a spot. But, Andre, what do you think of that strategy? I think there's a few too many good players, and if you're making a certain number of lineups, you really can't get away with it.
Yeah, I already said I think one person was a lock for me, and that's Tyler Hero. So he was at least one guy that I would definitely have in all my lineups here at 7:00. Everyone else would be optional, especially if you're MMEing. But other than that, I really wouldn't have any strong interest in anyone else that I would need to play at 7 o'clock. Besides maybe Joel Embiid, that's the only other person, and that would be it.
Yeah, and if he doesn't go, all of a sudden now guys like Harris get more interesting, a little bit more interesting, and Maxey even a little bit more interesting.
I think that whole game would become interesting.
Yeah,
it would be more up tempo and more up pace. So I would probably try to stack that game and make that like a mini stack.
only the Heat has this phrasing, but Bam Adebayo is on track to play, and Dwayne Dedmon is on track to play. Like the only team that reports that way, the on track to play. But assuming they stay on track, those guys expected to give it a go today. Producer Devin in chat, just being alerted to this, we're giving away. Let's see. Discord giveaway is live. How many weeks will we be giving away here, Devin? 1 week free to RotoGrinders Premium. The fabulous tools you guys can see on the screen right now. The optimizer, the ownership, all the expert articles. You get Andy Means' core plays. Andy, by the way, you guys don't know if you're not aware. The first time watching, it's free. Crunch Time. Crunch Time's going to be following us around 6:30 or so. STL cards, Kevin Roth host, take you guys straight up the lock. And not just that's not just basketball. So you're going to get, if you get the 1 week free of RG Premium, you get all the sports: football, baseball, basketball, hockey, LOL, MMA, PGA, everything with the exception of NASCAR. So how would you go about winning yourself 1 week free? Just jump in the RotoGrinders Discord. That's rotogrinders.com/Discord. Join that for free. Doesn't cost you anything. You want to attach your RotoGrinders free account, premium account, whichever account you happen to have, and jump in the live stream chat channel and just hit the bell, hit the button, and there's a contest running. Just say, yes, I want to be eligible. There you go. 3 winners. There you go. Devin's feeling extra generous. So 3 separate people will win 1 week free of RotoGrinders Premium. And that's starting right now, and it's probably going to end like in a half hour. It ends at some point during this show. We'll keep an eye on it. But, just jump on over there and get yourself a week free of RotoGrinders Premium. Can't put a price on it. I mean, you could, but like that involves math probably. Anything else as far as news breaking over the 7 o'clock games? Or that's where we're at right now, right, boys? Keeping an eye on Twitter.
Yeah, nothing's popped up yet that I'm seeing.
All right, 7:30 games. Well, we talked about Chicago and Boston, which is it's happening. There's some good players, but no priorities. This is one of the reasons why, it's such a good slate. And I feel like some of these players kind of slid down throughout the day as news kind of came in. But Charlotte and Memphis, 226 is the total. Charlotte is an 11-point dog in this game. They're already beat up. Now, I guess they're still playing games in Charlotte. Cody Martin is doubtful. He's been doubtful for like 9 games in a row. Terry Rozier is doubtful. I assume both those guys are still out. LaMelo Ball hasn't played a game all season long. He's out. Gordon Hayward is out now with a shoulder. 3 of their best players, maybe 3 of their best players, their 3 best players are out in Memphis. As far as Memphis, we have they're basically as healthy as they've been the entire season. Andre, how is Charlotte going to hang? If Charlotte hangs versus Memphis in this game, DSJ is interesting. I really think Oubre is interesting, a team that yield some threes in Memphis. I don't mind Washington. And Jalen McDaniels is one of the better cheapies earlier today. Still pretty solid. He's going to get the biggest minutes boost just because he was, coming up from the lowest number. We presume he's going to jump back in that starting lineup. How do you feel about the Hornets? There's definitely some value here. At least, good plays.
Hold on real quick. I'm not really on the Hornets a lot, honestly. Like, I understand the value is probably kind of good there. I'm researching into Jalen McDaniels more now just to find out how I like him and get in this matchup. Granted, only person you have to really worry about is Steven Adams up front. I'm not really concerned with Brandon Clark or anyone else. So, I think it's an okay spot. Kelly Oubre gets a big usage bump, so he's someone that you can use, but at 6.9K, he really has to have a big game on this slate. I talked about it. We talked about this earlier on the early show that I was on. Like, we want like the guys to have a minimum like 40, 45 fantasy points tonight. You can't have anything probably less. It's gonna be a high scoring night. So I don't know. Kelly Oubre definitely has that upside, but
why can't Oubre give you 45 fantasy points? He can do that.
He can, but he's very, very volatile. So
I
don't think he's a play that I want to get to in my one lineup. Definitely not. But
embrace the volatility, though.
I normally do, but not today with Kelly Oubre. So, but Dennis Smith Jr., he's been playing phenomenal. Like, I was surprised at how good he's been playing. And he's been playing basketball really, really well in this starting role. He's someone that I think could be interesting a little bit, but that's really it. Maybe even PJ Washington, but I'm not on these guys really. They're deep tournament plays for me, but nothing I would be like I have to play or must get to today.
DSJ was like almost out of the league if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah,
He earned himself some money with the injury to Ball. Somebody's going to pay him somewhere. Yeah, I was doing I ran a thing with the Court IQ, right, with Kelly Oubre. I kicked off Ball, I kicked off Gordon Hayward, and I kicked off Rozier, and I think it was like 1.23 DK points per minute. And you mentioned his FanDuel price is 6'9". He is he's 6'3" on DK, where he's a better player on DK. So I think he's a better play over there. I think he's playable on FanDuel, but definitely more appealing on DraftKings. And that's where I'm going to play. I'm going to play at least a little bit of Oubre. I wrote him up earlier today as well too. But yeah, you jump in here, Bobby. As far as the Hornets, are you a little bit more excited than Andre about Charlotte?
Yeah, I really like Jalen McDaniels. Probably my second favorite play on this value play on the slate behind Kuminga. I wrote him up earlier. 30 points the last 3 games, averaging, getting 30 minutes. I think he's a really strong play. You can make a case for Oubre in tournaments. I don't love him, but if I'm MMEing, I can see it. But it would definitely be McDaniels as my favorite play in the cornerstone and lineups for me on the slate.
The DSJ thing is I'm not sure how much more meat's on that bone, right? His price just keeps going up incrementally. 6'4" on DK, it's fine, but at 6'4", you need at least 40 points. He's done it, he can do it. I don't hate the matchup either against Brooks and Morant aren't known as great defenders. So
what about Book Night? We have him for 24 minutes. No way.
I think a little bit less than that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's 12 game slate. I can't do that.
Yeah, 12. Yeah.
That's sort of where I'm at.
You said he got 30 on DK he's got 30 fantasy points, right? And McDaniels?
Yeah.
I think he's definitely a better DK player than FanDuel. FanDuel, I would not touch him personally.
He's 3-3 on DK, and he's gonna put up maybe 19. I mean, he could 19 points, 24 points, and again, he's competing with all those Warriors we'll talk about. And is he gonna beat all them? I don't think so. We'll see. That's sort of the question that I have, Bobby. You think he beats all Moody and Kuminga and those guys?
I said Kuminga is my favorite play on the slate. I think he would be right a little bit behind, right? But he's in that mix, yeah.
Are you finding yourself making a star scrub lineup in your one?
I think he could definitely beat Moody. Yeah, I'm building stars and scrubs, but
he can. Yeah, he certainly can. But he's got to beat a lot of guys. We'll see. We'll talk about it. How about the Memphis side, Bobby? What do you like as far as the Grizz? Again, fully healthy.
Morant in tournaments, maybe. That's pretty much it. Nothing crazy on the Memphis side for me.
Yeah, that's the tricky thing. Is I like some of the Hornets. I don't love the Memphis guys, but certainly you can always get a peak Ja game. I don't know if it's going to happen. Brooks is there, which kind of makes it a little bit trickier. Always like Bane, but he's just priced up now. You got to pay for him. Andre, you got any takes as far as Memphis?
Memphis, I think I had maybe one guy in here that I was interested in. No, a couple. Desmond Bane is obviously someone you can get to, but 8.1K. I think these are all MME tournament plays. I wasn't sure if I was going to do a lot of lines tonight, but I'm only going to run one. But Desmond Bane, I think, is someone you can get to. The Charlotte guys do not really play defense that well, so he's someone that's interested. John Moran could be interesting too. And no one's going to play John Morant really tonight. And at 9.9K, he obviously has the upside of all these other guys here on the slate. So I don't mind that at all. Bigs against Charlotte is always a thing. So Steven Adams is someone that, we've seen him get 40 fantasy points, and at 5'3", if he has that, he can be someone that's needed on the slate to win the tournament tonight.
I don't hate the Adams call. I think that's sharp.
I just accidentally clicked out my my lineups page, so my apologies. I lost which game is next. I think we're moving on, right? We're moving on. Yes.
Yeah.
All All right, Clippers, Spurs, 225 is the total. Spurs are about 3 or 4 point dogs here. As far as injuries, we know Kawhi is out. Covington, I believe, is still out as well. San Antonio expecting back big body Kelton Johnson, Sohan as well. Both should be available. But Devin Vassell should be available. Isaiah Roby's still out, but Langford's out too. It's not a big deal when everybody else is playing and available. But yeah, it's not the most appealing spot. Paul George can do his thing against San Antonio. I don't necessarily like any of the peripheral pieces around him. They're all sort of different degrees of meh for me. Bobby, is this one of the more appealing games for you? Because it's not for me.
Yeah, it's not. Paul George, Zubac, Reggie Jackson. I think those guys are in play. Reggie Jackson on Fanduel's 4-7, so I think he's probably the best play from the Clippers on both sites. Well, not both sites, just for the slate. But yeah, I don't love Zubac. I don't love Paul George, and Reggie Jackson on DK at 5-3. I don't really have much interest in at all.
Yeah, I've watched too much Reggie Jackson this year to even consider him. He's been terrible this year. Just not looking good at all. As far as ownership, nobody's grabbing any ownership in this game. On DK, nobody has higher than 6% as far as ownership. The top guys are the centers, Pirtle and Zubac. Where's Paul George as far as ownership? Am I missing him?
5% on DraftKings and 20% on FanDuel.
There you go. Yeah, I somehow had to scroll up a little bit. Paul George was not popping up. Okay, he's also getting about 6% on DK as well. The price is better on FanDuel, like you said there, Andre. 8.8K is pretty reasonable, and he's grabbing almost 20% ownership. Otherwise, nobody else grabbing anything in this game, which I think is correct. Where do you lie as far as both sides, Spurs, Clippers? Is George your favorite play in this game?
He's the only play from this game. That's really it. Can't get to no one else from this game at all.
Would you play him like a la carte, just by himself, or there's no run backs, and you don't have to run anything back? But
yeah, because San Antonio's been, for some reason, they've been winning games when they shouldn't be winning games. So they've been a little bit feisty, a little bit competitive, and the Clippers are not one of the better teams. They're supposed to be one of the better teams in the league, but they have not been playing that way yet. So until they start playing that way, they're in close games against Houston. I want to say, did they play the Jazz already? I believe they were in a close game too as well. So no, they didn't play the Jazz. It was OKC, I think. But I think Paul George is definitely in play just from that standpoint only. He's going to need to do a lot to carry this team, and possibly, he could obviously put up an upside game. He should be able to do in this spot here against Pop and the Spurs.
Offensive rating, by the way, the two worst teams in the league both play in the city of Los Angeles. Lakers and Clippers have been terrible offensively. Lakers are weird. We'll talk about them. They're playing at the fastest pace this year. But defensively, they have the second best defensive rating, right behind Milwaukee, who's in a category of their own. But yeah, it's interesting to see the Lakers playing really good defense this year. Their pace is bad. Their offense is bad. But their defense has been good so far through 9-10 games or whatever it is. Yeah, that's kind of I don't want to say a throwaway game. Of course, things can happen, but before they tip off, that one's not looking terribly appealing. Still, 6 games? We're making plenty of time. There you go, plenty of time. Do you see some questions and some comments popping up in chat? Thank you, Stan. We did see the Bam and Dedmon are both on track to play. They're talking about Pascal Siakam, right on cue. Toronto in Dallas, 216.5. That is the total in this game. Slow pace. Dallas, I think, is the slowest pace team in the league. Yes. And Toronto also, bottom 6, bottom 7. So two teams that play pretty slow. The total reflects it. 216.5, probably the lowest total on the board. But we have Luka Doncic, and we have Toronto, who's just, the minutes are so secure for Trent and OG Anunoby and Scotty Barnes and Pascal. Pascal, you got to pay for him, but he's been justifying that. Luka Doncic, got to pay for him. He's been justifying that as well. Again, not the best matchups. He's theoretically matchup proof, but not ideal. Bobby, what do you got for me as far as Toronto and Dallas?
Luka is probably the only play for me in this game. He would be the only one that I would consider. Siakam's been playing great, but he's also up to 9,800. I don't really – OG and those other guys, it's a 12-game slate, right? Like, I don't know. It's Luka because I have the value to get up to Luka, and that's pretty much it for me from this game.
If Freddie VanVleet is out, he's currently questionable with his back. Does that change anything for you or not really?
I think he probably plays, for what it's worth.
I would guess he plays too, but we'll see. But the minutes on those guys, just so good. Barnes and Siakam and Trent and OG, at least 35. There's a seal they can get up to 38, 39, or 40 as well. Andre, what do you got as far as Toronto?
I have nothing right now, but I'm waiting on that news because that is very important. I think you could still get a guy like Barnes or OG. I think those guys still have upside on the slate. Even though at a slow pace, they play so good defense that they just turn these guys over and create points. So I think they're great tournament plays. On Dallas, I just love Luka. I think Luka, he's definitely, to me, he's like I understand the matchup is not great for Luka, but I looked at what he was been doing to these guys. His worst game came in 2001 when he put up only 15, 7, and 9. That was his worst game. Other games, like his last game he played was 47, 14, and 7.
This is against Toronto?
And 12. This is against Toronto.
Okay.
20, 10, and 11. Like damn near triple doubles against these guys every single time. He's not the it's hard to say the best player on the slate, but he definitely is in that running for top 3 on the slate for sure. Definitely a better player on DraftKings than on FanDuel, but he still has the upside on FanDuel to break the slate as well.
So we just got news, and it's pretty big news because both of the 2 best players for Cleveland, we got
oh boy,
we got Garland out with his knee and Mitchell's out with his ankle. And look, Karis LeVert, I guess we got the starting lineup as well too, right? Yeah, LeVert, Okoro, Wade, Mobley, and Allen. And Detroit is a good matchup. Man, LeVert looks like I haven't done the math on it. I'm sure the projections will change and all that, but to me, like LeVert looks like an awesome play. Low usage guy in Okoro, low usage guy in Wade. Allen's not a high usage guy. Like this is going to be his show, man. And the matchup here against Detroit looks really interesting too. Holland is available to play for what it's worth. I assume he would back up LeVert at the point. Woof, man. Bobby, we'll figure it out soon enough. But your first initial reaction as far as the Cavs missing their 2 best players here. Are you with me to get it? Are you excited about Karis LeVert's season potentially?
I am. I like you said it. Okoro's low usage, and there's a lot of usage to go around. And who's it going to funnel to? Most likely LeVert. So at 6'5" on DK, I feel like we're going to see him popping in a lot of stuff in the next couple minutes.
7:00 game too.
Yeah.
Sorry.
It's going to flip. It's going to flip the slate a little bit. So.
Yeah. I think
time to start over. I think he's close to it, definitely. Yeah,
and I think projections are going to say that, and we'll see. Our projections will fix. I shouldn't say fix. Update is the better word because we could not have projected that news. You have a thought on that, Andre, as far as Cleveland?
Yeah, I like Karis LeVert. I don't know if I'm gonna be how high I'm gonna be on him versus guys like Mobley and Jared Allen. I like those guys a lot more so Mobley now. I think Mobley can get some usage, and another guy off the bench that's going to play even in the limited minutes is Kevin Love. I think he's a little bit in play and if you're running a lot of lineups and tournaments too.
How many minutes?
I like the Love call.
Minutes can he play? That's my question because if he can play, he's 4-5.
He don't need to play a lot. He can play 20 minutes and give you 50, 60 fantasy points. He just gets it done.
He played 22 minutes on the 30th. He played 20. The most he's played all season. He played 23 on the 22nd. So maybe he plays 25 at 4-5. Oh, I mean,
he could. I mean, even 24 minutes, he had 27 and 2 in one game against them. So, he can do it in limited minutes. I think that's a good tournament play, like. Because they're going to need the scoring. They need the scoring. They want to win. They want to maintain their position up top and have home court advantage. They don't want to be in a situation like they were last year. So these early games matter, especially against a team like Detroit who's still rebuilding.
I'm running a quick court IQ. The problem is the court IQ. I'm kicking Mitchell and Garland off the court and seeing how the rates change. The problem is that the sample is so small.
Yeah.
But 23 minutes. 23 minutes for Mobley. Again, this is so small as far as a sample, but of note, Mobley gets an increase of 14.5% usage, which is huge.
Yeah.
Up to 34%, which is huge, but it's 23 minutes. But like that looks really good. And also, like, Detroit's not a team I'm fearing in any particular way, and Bogdanovich is going to hold them back. No way. 27% for Love for what it's worth. LeVert only 16%. That seems weird.
No, it's not. The way he's been playing the past couple of years since he came back and been traded, he hasn't been the same player like he was when he was on Brooklyn. That's what concerns me about him. I like him as a play. I think he's a great play. He has flashed that upside multiple times throughout the year and a half. He's been on a couple other teams besides Brooklyn. I personally would just probably go with Mobley or Love and then LeVert. That's how I would play it out.
And Jared Allen also gets a nice boost. Again, 24 minutes, but up to 30.3% usage. And, he adds blocks. He adds rebounds. Interesting. Per 36, Jared Allen has seen an increase of 25 fantasy points, which, again, if you get a bigger sample, it's not going to be that crazy, but just interesting. Yeah. Allen, LeVert, and Mobley. And Love, man, I'd love to see him play like 27 minutes or something like that. Maybe he gets there in 24, 25. All right. I just thought it was worth walking it back because we had to revisit Cleveland there. We were talking about, let's see, who were we talking about? Toronto and Dallas. We weren't terribly enthused by that game, were we? I don't think so.
No.
Shall we move on and talk about Golden State, New Orleans?
See,
it's a big game. A lot of important pieces. So I guess we could jump into it.
Yeah, 226.5 is the total in this game. New Orleans favored by 11 or 12, depending on where you're looking. Steph Curry, they gave him an elbow. They gave Wiggins a foot. No Klay Thompson. No Draymond. We're projecting Ty Jerome. Ty Jerome, Jordan Poole, Moses Moody, Kuminga, and Looney. They have just 10 players. So even the bench guys like JaMychal Green and Wiseman, I think those are the most interesting bench pieces. Not really interested in Lamb, Rollins, or Baldwin, but I think Green and Wiseman are playable as other salary savers. As far as New Orleans, Ingram's expected to be available with that concussion. Jones expected to be available with the knee. It's just Golden State, right? This is the show. This is what's popping in optimals. It's not like in baseball, if like 4 players are out. Is somebody playing pool in the background? Is that what's going on? Am I hearing a game of pool? I'm getting distracted. Maybe it's not pool.
What are you hearing?
Is that just in my head? I don't know.
It could be. It could be my family downstairs. I don't know what they're doing.
Did you hear it, Andre? Or is that just me?
Yeah, I heard it. I heard like balls clacking.
Right,
my son just woke up, so my whole family's down there, and they're just entertaining him.
You're all good. No worries. What do you got, Bobby, as far as the Warriors? How many Warriors is too many Warriors? Are you going to force it? Make sure you have at least one. How would you prioritize the Warriors?
So for the Warriors, Kuminga is my favorite. These guys are all good plays. We can kind of get into it. Kuminga, Ty Jerome's very strong. Jordan Poole and Moody. I think Moody's the most fragile of the 4. I think I'd rank them Kuminga, Jerome, Poole, just basically in that order, and then Moody. I think Andre basically hit it like at most 3 or in like MME or maybe max 2, but these guys are going to see a lot of minutes, so at most 3 probably works. Kuminga at 3K, like I don't know how you get away from him on the slate. Like he seems like a complete lock button. So he's probably my favorite play. Like Jordan Poole's up at 6'5". Now you have those Cleveland guys around him. You said Mobley got a 14% usage rate. It's only been 23 minutes or whatever, but he's right there at 6'1", and then LeVert at 6'5". Maybe you can kind of get different and larger field stuff and maybe get away from Poole a little bit, but I would still be playing like 2 of these guys on every team if I was building like any team on tonight's slate.
Yeah, I feel like I'd have at least one on every team. I think limiting to 3 is probably a good idea for tournaments. And like again, they're so cheap. Like it's not the worst if you're playing cash. I don't know if it's beforehand. Probably not. Just with the Cleveland stuff now, I'm not sure what it looks like. But like dollar for dollar, they're just more than 3 good plays on Golden State. If you want to make that argument, Andre, where are you at as far as it's no Steph, no Clay, no Draymond, no Wiggins. I also did a little court IQ, kicking those guys off the court, stretching it back to last season, just because you kind of need to get a sample. The big usage benefactor, no surprise, Poole 33.3% usage. That is a boost of 7.1%. That's a big number, 33.3%, and it's a pretty big sample of 372 minutes. Wiseman 42 minutes, 25% usage, 1.47 fantasy points per minute. So his rates look good too. Don't know how much he's going to play, but I suspect at least 20 minutes. But yeah, Andre, give your thoughts as far as Golden State first.
I am taking a stand here a little bit. I am not playing no Ty Jerome. I am not. 3.6K. I understand he's a great salary saver, great price. Just give me Kuminga, give me Moses Moody, guys that have more upside, that can put the ball in the basket better than he can, and can get you 40 to 50 on a slate like this. So I love Poole. I love all the young guys. The core 4 young guys: Poole, Wiseman, Moody, Kuminga. Those are the only guys I want to have and probably be playing in tournaments today. I have to rank order. Probably would be. It's tough between Poole and Kuminga. I love Kuminga, love his upside, but I'm gonna probably say Poole, then Kuminga. Is close though. It's probably 1A, 1B for me. Then Moody, and then Wiseman last, just because I don't know the minutes that Wiseman's going to play. If I knew for sure Wiseman was getting probably like 25, 30 minutes, Wiseman might be the best play on the slate, because that guy is like he's like a Chris Bosh upside that guy has and the potential he has, but he has not played to that potential yet. So other than that, that's really it.
So we are giving – I'm trying to see how we're doing the Wiseman. Okay, that's what we're doing. Yeah, we're giving Looney 22 and Looney 26 and Wiseman 22. I assume that's the center minutes, kind of chopping them up that way. Wiseman theoretically could get there in 22 minutes. By the way, less than 2 minutes, less than 3 minutes for that giveaway in our Discord channel, 1 week free of RotoGrinders Premium. All you got to do is click that the bell, click the enter button, and you're good to go. It's been given away in about 2 minutes or so. I'm factoring in like the delay also. I dropped the link in chat, rotogrinders.com/Discord. And you can go into the live stream chat channel. All you got to do is just click on that enter button and you're good to go. Trying to see if there's more. Naismith ruled out for Indiana. I don't know how much that matters, but again, Duarte probably gets a little bit more leash theoretically. He's in play, but with everything else going on, I'm certainly not prioritizing him. I did do a court IQ here, Bobby, as far as kicking those guys off the court. Stretch it back to last season. Usage for Poole at 33%, 1.21 DK fantasy points per minute. Looney, not a big usage guy, over a fantasy point per minute. Kuminga, 0.96. This year he's been bad, but you stretch it back to last year, that's pretty good. We're expecting him to play a fair bit of minutes. If you want to poke any hole in Kuminga, Andre, I guess it'll be this, that he's probably going to be playing Zion. So maybe there's some foul trouble potential. That's like the only thing I really can say bad about him, outside him being terrible this year. But otherwise, he's well positioned for just playing too many minutes. His rates being too good. Anything else we should say here as far as Golden State, Andre, or shall we jump over to New Orleans? Are we supposed to, in theory, run it back with somebody?
Well, I'm running it back with somebody.
Is it Zion?
Yes.
It should be Zion. Definitely.
Zion is going to destroy this front line like it is nobody's business. At 8.3K, he is almost a lock at that point too. Like he's just he's too talented, and he's just a freak of nature. Just play Zion. That's all I have to say about him. He's too good.
Yeah, only concern would be potential blowout. And he's also a guy that they're not going to push for like 37, 38 minutes. And if they're blown out, maybe he ends up playing like 29 or 30.
It would be a blowout because of him.
Yeah, or Ingram or McCollum. But yeah, that's I do get that line of thinking as well. How about yourself, Bobby, as far as New Orleans? It is interesting that they're getting no ownership on the New Orleans side. It's just because they're fully healthy. And,
It would be Zion for all the reasons that Andre just gave, and then I think you can make a case for Ingram outside of that. Pretty much no one.
Yeah. I'm okay not running it back for the record. Just I'm not forcing the run back, but I'll do it. If that makes sense. But I don't think we have to force it. I don't.
Yeah, you don't need it. They're the dog. New Orleans, Golden State's the dog, right? So obviously you don't have to force that.
But their options are just limited, right?
I feel like if I'm running Zion, though, I'm running it back with at least a couple people from Golden State because I want to make sure Zion is getting reaching his upside.
I agree with that. If you're playing Zion, I think
if you're playing the favorite, I usually like playing this season. I've liked Pelicans in tournaments just because they're so high variance between McCollum, Ingram, and Zion. And it's tough for people to go there. And now you're getting them in a spot where they're going up against the chalk. Like maybe you do want to be running this back a little more than what, if you're MMEing, than what the field is.
Problem with New Orleans is like they're so deep. Like they're Marshall, Nance, Murphy, Graham, Alvarado. Those guys can all play. It's they're a deep team. So maybe they don't push anybody if this game gets ugly. We'll see. Portland and Phoenix. We got 3 more games, about 12, 15 minutes until we yield to the crunch time crew. Y'all get Andy Means, SDL cards, Kevin Roth. Kindly hit that like button if you guys are hanging out in chat.
Oh, man.
What just happened?
Jaylen Brown is now questionable.
Tatum would be Tatum then I think become like, that's easy to say, but I think on this slate people might they won't go to it as much as they would in other situations just because of the price where he's kind of located salary wise, and he becomes a very, very good play.
Yep.
The timing is ominous, right? Like an hour and a half.
You're getting a Q tag right now. Like he might be sitting.
It is an ESPN game for what it's worth. We'll see.
I might be able to find that out.
You know a guy?
I know a guy. Yeah, I'm on a fantasy team with season-long NFL with a guy who's like their club promoter. So he's in with all those guys.
All right,
I'll text him right now. Yeah.
How real is this, Jalen? It's a 7:30 game, by the way, just for the record. So not straight 7 o'clock, but it would be nice to know. Maybe the news comes out like at 7:01, as it tends to drop a minute after games lock. I think we saw it last night with Bones Highland. The news dropped of him being out a minute after the only other game locked. All right. We're talking about Portland and Phoenix. Portland, they're a dog here. They're a 13-point dog here versus Phoenix. 217.5 is the total. Another really low total game. Portland without their backcourt. There's no Anthony Simons. There's no Damian Lillard. There's not even any Gary Payton II. He's not available either. Keon Johnson looks like he's one of the best cheapies on this slate. I believe he closed last time out as well. The price is not adjusted. He absolutely can beat the Golden State guys. Wouldn't surprise me. I guess we're going to have Josh Hart with the ball in his hands a good bit. We saw that last year, and he did pretty well with it. I don't see them really hanging in this game against Phoenix. Phoenix has the ability to just really destroy bad teams, and this Portland team's not really good. But if it's close, I think Hart's interesting. I think Nurkic is interesting, and Keon Johnson as a cheapie is probably the most interesting piece on this team for me. I'll throw it to Andre first, and then, of course, Phoenix is playing too. But we got Ayton back. Everybody's healthy. Campaign's out, so maybe an extra minute or so for Paul or something like that. But they have plenty of depth. Where I don't think that matters a ton anyway. He does kind of run the second unit, but I don't think it matters enough for this to talk about it for this 12-game slate. Maybe you think otherwise.
I don't like anyone on Portland, not even Keon Johnson, honestly. I know he's 3.8K is a really, really cheap price, but I'm gonna go with the guys that I know is gonna be able to put the ball in the bucket, and I know Phoenix anytime can turn up on the defensive end and just make it look like he can't really play. So I'm gonna go with I'm just gonna go with Josh Hart here, just because more so not even for him offensively, but because he has a rebounding upside. He's a mid-range play that's gonna be low owned. He could easily get you the assists and like the peripheral stats you mentioned before, along with the steals and the blocks. So if he can pull those in and get you like 40, 45 fantasy points, I think that's a little bit that's valuable on this slate today. I just don't see the upside for Keon Johnson to get 40 fantasy points pretty much, or 35.
I'll take 37 out of him though. I don't need 40. Give me
I
37.
don't know if I don't think he get 35 personally. That's just me.
Oh, now no 35. That changes things. He's still really cheap though.
I think Keon and Moody are a lot closer than
yeah.
Like
I agree.
Moody's going to get the 10% ownership, and you just play Moody at the field and maybe go over on Keon if you like him that much. If you're me.
I don't hate that. He's about a fantasy point minute player. He's a 3.4 on DK, 3.8 on Fanduel. And there's nothing else going on in this slate. Like, he would be really popping.
Yeah.
But I still think he's plenty usable. Bobby, your thoughts as far as this is another game where the underdog is just more interesting just because of circumstances. Obviously their backcourt just being out and depleted. You could play guys on Phoenix. I do like Chris Paul a little bit, but I'm not going out of my way to play Phoenix players. Are you?
No. The Ayton's back, so we've been playing those backup centers. You really don't need to go there now that Ayton's there. Outside of that, maybe Cam Johnson, but I never really play Cam Johnson on the Phoenix side. So that would be it for me pretty much on Phoenix. I do like Keon Johnson a good bit. I think he's interesting on the Portland side.
I'm with you. I never play Cam Johnson. When he hits those 7 threes, I'm just buried. And that happened the other day. It's like, I didn't see that coming.
I went to a Celtics game last year, and he buried like 7 threes, and I was like, I didn't play him.
That's what he can do. You had to play the game to some extent, though, right? You're at the game.
I did play the game. I just didn't play him. It was actually Jalen Smith was like coming out of that when he was like kind of a sneaky value at one point last year. So I played him a good bit. I just didn't have any Cam.
Johnson is the only guy that's really popping as far as ownership, 17% on DK. Next is Nurkic at 8%. Again, this game stays close. Like, Nurkic theoretically can put up like 22 and 17, and it wouldn't shock me. What do you have, Andre, as far as the Phoenix side or anything else this game that's worth noting?
Only person I would really be getting to on the Phoenix side is going to be like the other pieces. Like I like Cam Johnson here, 4.5K. Like, he's my pivotal for McDaniels. I think he can have a game here, even with DeAndre Ayton back and playing. I like Ayton too as well at 7K. He's not getting a price increase, but he can give you 40 to 45 fantasy points and be enough, especially at center, which is not really that strong of a position today. But we also still wait on that Joel Embiid news, which hasn't come in yet, which I'm surprised at.
Chad mentioned Justice Winslow. 5-2 on FanDuel, probably can't get there. He did have his moments last year when everybody was kind of gone. He's 4-3 on DK. I guess that's playable, but I'm not thrilled about it. We're currently projecting 28 minutes on him for what it's worth, but wouldn't necessarily X him out, but it's not jumping off the table either. What do we have? We have 2 games left. Is that right? I believe so. Did we time this pretty well? Well enough? Milwaukee?
We did a good job.
It's tough, man. Monday, 15 gamer. That's going to be a lot of fun. 227 is the total. Minnesota is home to Milwaukee. Milwaukee 4-point road favorite. Giannis Antetokounmpo. He plays really good basketball. Bobby, are we prioritizing Giannis? We certainly have the value to get there if we want to. If you want to pay him or Luka, do you have a preference as far as Giannis or Luka, or is it like spend down on a couple like 9K guys as opposed to getting the Giannis?
I actually think I prefer Luka to Giannis a little bit for what it's worth, but I know our stuff likes Giannis a good bit. If you're playing MME, like, you're having exposure to both these guys, but I think I'd go Luka. Giannis, he's really the only play in this game that I like. He's Giannis. He's all the usage on that Bucks team, and everything runs through him. I don't really have to give too much analysis on why he's a good play. On the Timberwolves, just everyone eats into each other. They've been playing horrible. I don't know if you really need to go there and get any of these Timberwolves.
That's kind of where I'm at also. How about yourself, Andre? I think it's Giannis and Holiday. I believe this is a front half of a back-to-back for Milwaukee. I don't think anything goofy is happening. Just be on alert. They're gonna pull the same thing Kerr pulled at some point throughout this year. Just be ready for it when it happens. But Andre, what do you think? Milwaukee, Minnesota?
Yeah, just Giannis. Just Giannis. I don't want no one else in this game besides Giannis. It's just too good of a spot. Last 5 games against this team has just been unbelievable. Rebounding wise and scoring wise, no less than 27 points against this team. He's just in another position where he could dominate, especially without Chris Middleton. So I get why it's going to be a starting scrub slate. I'm really trying to get Luka and Giannis in my lineup along with some of these value guys. So if I can do it, I'm going to do it.
So now you're playing Jalen McDaniels over Cam Johnson?
No, I'm going to play Cam. No, because I'm playing on FanDuel. So Cam.
Oh, on FT, yeah. I was like, there's 1,000 different, but yeah, I get where you're coming from.
Yeah.
We have our winners, by the way, in the Discord. One week free of RotoGrinders Premium. Thank you for participating. All you do is click that bell. We generally run these 2 to 3 times per week. If you're not aware, giving away 1 week free, not just basketball, but all the sports, all the tools. Winners are Flores Mark 1983, NDT Wong, and Viper BR80. Producer Devin's gonna slide into your DMs and hook you up with 1 week free of RotoGrinders Premium. Thank you for playing. Play again next week. These just sort of happen organically, but generally they typically land on Monday, Wednesday, or Friday. All right, let's move on. Let's talk about the last game on the slate. That's the Lake Show. The Lakers at home versus Utah. 229 is the total. Lakers are 3-4-point favorites here. Anthony Davis and LeBron did not practice today, but it was like an excused absence, the way I understand it. So I'm assuming they'll be able to go. Davis, I think, officially questionable, and LeBron officially probable for what it's worth. Utah is pretty healthy. Fontecchio is the only one. Oh, no, he's expected to be available. Doesn't matter a ton, just figures worth noting. Andre, wherever you want to start, whatever you have as far as Utah and the Lakers as the hammer game on this slate. I guess it's only 10:30 game, so it is the solo hammer. Is this a good hammer game? Is it a chisel game? What do we like as far as Utah Lakers?
I think so. The way to attack the Lakers is with the guards. So a sneaky tournament play is Mike Conley. He's been getting 30 minutes. I think he can play him better on probably better. Well, he's 5'9" on FanDuel. I'm waiting for it to come up right now. He's 5'6" on DK. So at that little bit of ownership, I don't mind playing him because he can get some steals, turn the ball over, get some threes. So Mike Conley is probably my favorite play on this Utah team. They've been playing really well to start the season off, which I'm very surprised at. But I don't mind these other guys in tournaments as far as the marketing, Clarkson and Vanderbilt. I think they're excellent plays, some guys that you should be able to get to, and just to be like one-offs and mixing your lineup. And on the other side, I love LeBron. I think he's 9.5 is just too cheap for LeBron. But just to me, you just got to play him.
Yeah, the FanDuel price is more appealing than the DK price. Of course, you can play them on DK as well. Just wanted to say, checked our projections on Cleveland. We did update them. Our projection team really likes LeVert, Allen, and Mobley. All three look really good.
What about Kevin Love? Look at Love.
The problem is we're only giving him 18 minutes.
Oh, he's going to get more.
So that might be too low. But we're giving Dean Wade 32, but he's Dean Wade. Love, 18 minutes, 25 fantasy points on DK. But certainly that could change. He could play 22. That's a tough call. But yeah, as far as priorities, though, it's LeVert, Allen, and Mobley on the Cleveland side. Bobby, what do you got as far as the Jazz and the Lakers?
Yeah, so KD, it's kind of the opposite on DK. AD is 9,100 to LeBron's 10.7. So I think I'd prefer Anthony Davis over LeBron. But you can always play LeBron, right? I don't understand why these guys aren't practicing. Like, this team's been like awful. What are they doing? Like, go to practice.
Well, LeBron's old, and like he's actually got a legit foot injury. Like,
all right, so I get it with LeBron,
and Davis is hurt too.
Davis is always hurt.
Yeah,
he's hurt before he walks into the arena. Before the season starts, he's hurt.
I found that funny because it was like the first or second night, and it was like Anthony Davis going to the locker room. I saw the notification kind of flash across my screen. It would probably be AD for me on the Lakers, 9,100. In terms of Utah, like marketing, these guys are fine. I don't know if I'm going to play too many of them, I'm only playing one team, so I'm not going to play any of them. But if I was playing MMA, maybe Colin Sexton at 4-4, I'd take a shot on DK, but that's it.
Crunch Time Crew should be coming in momentarily. Kevin Roth will be hosting. You got Andy Means. Andy's going to really help you guys out. If you're paying attention, he'll essentially build you a cash lineup. If you're paying attention, it's not very hard. STL Cards, of course, is going to help you guys out with tournaments. See some questions popping up in chat. We're talking about Embiid. We still don't have clarity on Embiid, unfortunately. Andre, you like Steven Adams or Brooke Lopez on DraftKings? Pick one of those two.
Steven Adams.
Bobby, would you sacrifice a center only on FanDuel tonight for a center power forward in the center spots?
I think the right person to ask that question is Andre. I'm not playing on FanDuel tonight, so Andre, you want to take that one?
What was the question again?
Basically, he's saying, do you need a center? Because I think he's playing 3 power forwards at his center 2 power forward spot. If that makes sense.
FanDuel, I got Kevin Love at my center spot right now, so you can play 3 power forwards and you'll be fine.
Yeah, I just want to make sure. I'm pretty sure that's what the question is asking. I mean, I haven't ran anything, but I'm going to guess that Jared Allen is like the number 1 center player right now, according to math. And optimizers and all that kind of stuff. To me, that's what makes sense. You don't need to play Jared Allen. Like, it's not a must, right? And it is kind of a weird slate where it's 12 games and like there's no amazing centers. There's no Jokic also. Embiid, we'll see. But Embiid can break the slate. He's coming back from an illness if he does play or his minutes hit. We'll see. I don't know. Doc doesn't tell us anything, unfortunately. Several more questions or any other questions in chat. Hey, hit that like button, right? Let's like, subscribe, turn on those notifications. That's what keeps the lights on. We do appreciate that.
Jaylen Brown is in for what it's worth.
Is that per your guy or is that per like official?
No, it just flashed across the street. I've been talking to my buddy trying to get it. And he's being tough, but no, I got it.
Yeah, that's important. That's good stuff. It's nice to know you have a connection, though.
Yeah.
If you need it in a pinch. So, yeah, who knows an illness, who knows what that means, like how severe that may or may not be, but I guess it's good enough where he's going to go. I wasn't playing him anyway. Not that you can't play him, but, I'm only playing so many lineups, and I really doubt that I was going to get there. So it just sort of stays the same for me as far as the Boston side. All right, we got Kevin Roth, we got Andy Means, we got STL Cards. Man, Andy, this is just the warm-up for Monday. 15 games on Monday. You ready for that one?
Oh, what's that? A holiday or something? I forget.
So
yeah, what is that?
The NBA cleared their.
Oh, it's the day before election day, right?
Yes. So everybody plays on Monday, and yeah, it's gonna be a fun one. All of us are gonna be sick on Monday, I'm sure, out of nowhere. Steve Kerr has already given me an injury management designation. I may or may not be here. We'll see. But yeah, Andy, this is a big boy slate. There's a lot going on. Myself and Andre and Bobby, we probably have lineups we got to mess with as well. But we should just yield to you and Roth and Cards. Unless you guys got anything, we should just step aside and get out of here. Bobby, you good to go? Andre, you good to go?
Yeah.
Yeah. Cooper asks Allen or Mobley for FanDuel. I'm going to say Mobley.
All right. And Andy, you're getting yelled at in chat. You got to fix your microphone. What's going on over there? This is a
It takes me like 2 minutes. It takes me 2 minutes to get like one.
It might take a little more than 2 minutes. It might be more like 3 or 4.
Too many people in this freaking room.
Yeah.
What's up, Cards? What's up, Roth? We're stepping aside. You're gonna yield. We got lineups to make. You got a lot of stuff to break down. News still coming in. Kevin Roth, starring for the FanDuel sponsored Crunch Time, is starting now. On behalf of myself and Andre and Bobby, we thank you for watching the first half. Now go for it, Roth. It's all yours.
Appreciate it, guys. As always, this is it. Indeed, it is Crunch Time. And yes, as Dino mentioned, it is sponsored by FanDuel. Dre, you can hang out. All right, yeah, he's peacing out. Don't forget, by the way, if you haven't signed up for the FanDuel Sportsbook, what are you waiting for? You should. If you're in a legal sports betting state, take advantage of their awesome bonus offer. Bet $5 or more, get a free 3-month pass to NBA League Pass, regardless of if your bet wins or loses. Don't forget to jump in that FanDuel single entry series. That is back for NFL as well. Got your entries at various price points, $5, $33, $100. And you can get it on the weekly and seasonal prizes, which is kind of a cool thing. I always enjoy the single entry series because I'm told by people smarter than me that single entry is like what I should be playing, because I'm not gonna put in 20 entries or 150. So I should just enter single entry cards. Is this wise?
I think so. I think it's wise given your playing style and strategy. I would agree with them.
Yeah.
And I'm glad you gave me the first dibs today. You got to give Meansy that extra minute to try to catch up with his mic today. And yeah, so and by the way, I know we got a ton today, so I won't take up too much time, but we talked about last night that one game potentially staying close, and that Golden State game was really competitive there for 4 quarters, but they lost again. So we'll see what the Warriors do tonight. They're back on this evening slate.
Yeah, I was just going to say you did a great job the other night. So if Meansy if that mic doesn't catch up, I got all the faith in the world that you can walk us through it. But we do have the one, the only, the GOAT. He's the NBA GOAT, old school, the OG. It's Andy Means. I heard his chuckle come in nice and clean. So Meansy, I think you're in the clear, man.
I mean, can you hear me now?
Yes,
it's much better.
You sound great.
Apparently my computer doesn't like hanging out with like 7 other faces in the little StreamYard lobby. So I think that might have been the problem. I didn't really do anything differently. I just sat here and listened to you guys make fun of me.
Yeah, well, this program is trash, the one that we use. I hate it. And as long, I don't know I don't think they sponsor us. I don't think it's free. I think we're paying for it. It's horrible. So I am on team. Get us back to whatever we were using before. But hey, good to have you back here, Means, because we're going to need you. We got a lot going on. And Cards, real quick, you mentioned that they lost, right? They lost to the Magic.
Yeah, they lost again, and now they're 3-6, and now they're resting everyone tonight. So I guess
that was interesting. Did you see the tweet? I don't remember who put it in my feed, but at the end of the game against the Heat, the announcer for Golden State was like, "All I can say is I feel sorry for the Orlando Magic because we're going to bring it all to them next game." He literally like closed the broadcast with that, and then they still took the L. So that's rough. Means, let's talk about this slate. Cards kind of started off with a fairly solid point. We've got a team that's benching every good player for rest, and I don't think that's the only thing to discuss.
Oh no, it's not. Trying to think stuff that's still pending. Sounds like Embiid will play, but not been clarified or confirmed. And then like the Cavs stuff, I heard Dean talking about it as they were exiting basically. And that's actually a really big deal, especially on FanDuel, which I'll get into because they're out without Mitchell and without Garland. So we'll talk about that a little bit. But yeah, the Warriors will be the key to the slate. You know, Harden's out, Butler's out. We're still waiting on there's 2 questionable Timberwolves guys at the end of the night, Gobert and Anthony Edwards. I don't even know. Did I mention Van Vliet? Did I mention AD yet? All those guys are questionable. There's still a ton of balls to drop.
Okay. Well, we're going to have to try to figure out a plan as best we can. Embiid warming up, apparently, game time decision there on Embiid.
That means nothing for him.
I know.
You can never predict Embiid.
Yeah, that doesn't help at all. But that's a bit alarming that at the end of the slate, you've got Cat and Towns?
Gobert and Edwards, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Cat and Towns?
Cat and Towns. That's
really
not
even a real sentence. That's not even enough of my gibberish. Let's talk about this slate, guys. So Means, why don't you walk us through it?
Yeah, so excuse me. A lot of, I shouldn't say a lot. There's a condensed pool of players you're going to be looking at for cash games, but there's some tough decision points. So let's just walk through it. So I have Poole, Kuminga, and Durant tagged on FanDuel. I'm pretty sure I'm higher on Durant than our projections are. I just think they're only 3-point dogs, which I think Washington will cover. But I think this game should be somewhat competitive, at least through like 3 quarters. And I just am higher on Durant than our projections. So take that for what it's worth. Like our projections want you the first spin to be for LeBron James, which I get because he's like 9'5" or whatever. But he's also dealing with this. He's dealing with some sort of like foot injury too. He's like talking. I know they were talking about how he's not practicing. He's not even going to shoot around. Like he said he was. Some of it was, they said it was because of his illness or whatever, but he like wasn't getting out of bed. So like, would I play him in cash games? Yeah, but like I'm prioritizing Durant first just because there's no Kyrie. So
sure,
that's the 3 guys in general. But I have very strong thoughts on who the next ones should be. And actually, I'm going to switch things up because I want to start at center. Like center was the hardest part of FanDuel the whole day, and then out of nowhere, well, not out of nowhere because they're questionable, but Mitchell and Garland are out. So like Allen, Mobley, and LeVert all got big bumps. But as you can see here, like Allen and Mobley, like I think you're playing at least one of these dudes in cash games tonight for sure on FanDuel. Like you're putting one of those dudes into your center spot. And I really like the other guy in your power forward spot. Yeah. So that's why I wanted to start there because center was like, as you can see, take these guys out of the equation. Like there's okay plays, but like Embiid was one of them and he was questionable all day. Bam was one of them. He was questionable all day. He sounds like he's going to play though. So like that was just really big news for builds on FanDuel. So play probably both of those guys. Definitely one at center. So I'll just work my way down. With power forward, like I said, I like Durant. I like him. I like prioritizing him ahead of Giannis and LeBron tonight. If the next guy in would probably be LeBron, but I don't really think there's anything else to say here because you're playing a Cav here most likely. So and then you can like put LeBron at small forward. So let's keep working our way down. Come on, there we go. Yeah. Put LeBron there, put Hero there. Those are two really good options. LeVert is a really good option, but you're probably going to use him at shooting guard would be my guess. So, like I said, kind of a condensed pool here. So let's work it our way down. Let's just we'll just look at both guards. You have Moody, you have Hero there, you have Keon Johnson there is another cheap guy. I would probably play Moody over Keon Johnson. You have Edmund Sumner there, especially if he starts for the Nets. They're without Kyrie, they're without Simmons, they're without Seth Curry. They have like no guards, so that's the reason he's going to be a decent look. Melton's a better play on DK. We'll talk about him in a second. And then I don't really think there's anyone else here at point guard that I haven't really. Lauer. Oh yeah, Ty Jerome. So like we about halfway through the day, we put Ty Jerome in with the starters. So his projection went way up compared to what we, started with, I don't know, an hour after the Warriors news. I like Lowry. Yeah, that's about it. I think you're probably playing Jerome and Poole. Yeah, that's it.
All right, just got this from Yappy in the Discord that Quentin Grimes is starting for the Knicks instead of Evan Fournier. He says Edmonds is starting.
What was the second part of that?
Edmonds starting. I don't know if that was a typo or I don't know.
I'm confused at where he was going with that because he started with the Knicks, and I was confused at where he ended that. Let me look at our Slack real quick.
Yeah, but Sumner.
Yes, I think he meant Sumner. Yeah, okay, he meant Sumner. Yeah, okay, that's what I just said. I just had touched on that, so I'm glad to hear we got that. Yeah, I know our guys are already on the Grimes stuff, so that's been updated in projections for sure.
Very good. Okay, good to get that in. Anything else that you want to run through there, or shall we move along?
Oh, yeah, someone's asking me where the refined wine is. I'm running on E, man. I got like the tank is about empty. I might go to bed after this show's over. The tank is on E.
I had my wine experience the other night where I got drunk off wine for almost the first time in my life. And
that was a great drunk, wasn't it?
I'll talk to you about it post-live.
Okay.
Okay, Cards, let's talk GPP theory here. What's the game plan? There's a lot of goods.
Yeah, there is. Once again, I mean, we talk about this a lot on slates like we have tonight, but when you've got questionable players in the late games like you have with Anthony Davis and with Gobert and with Edwards, you've got three potentially key guys in those later games that one or more of them could be ruled out. I think Minnesota is an intriguing team to target if both Gobert and Edwards are out. If they're both in, they're less appealing. So you can leave yourself some flexibility in some of your lineups. With the fact that there's 3 games at 10 o'clock or later, it's not like it's the only game. There's 2 games at 10 and 1 game at 10:30. So you can leave some flexibility in your lineup because, let's say if Gobert and Edwards are both ruled out, well, obviously Towns is going to have a smash projection at his price. Jaden McDaniels will get a bump. Maybe Naz Reid gets a few more minutes. So you got guys for Minnesota that are going to become appealing point per dollar plays that right now on FanDuel, that whole team is projected under 5% ownership. So in GPPs, you've got some upside with some guys on that team. On the Lakers, everybody outside of LeBron obviously is, has almost no ownership. So I do like leaving some lineups. I'm not saying that you have to stack. It's a big enough slate where you're probably not stacking your lineup with 8 guys from the last 3 games. But if you leave yourself 3 or 4 spots, mix and match some guys from those games. If we get some guys ruled out, maybe you got some high upside projected players that aren't going to have more than about 5% ownership.
Cards, let's say you do that and the injury news doesn't break the way you want. Are you done? Like, are you toast?
You're not necessarily done. You have a secondary part to that?
No, that's it. Like,
okay.
Is it basically just cross your fingers and hope?
I thought I cut you off, so I wasn't sure if you had a second point there. You're not necessarily done. I mean, I think what you have to do, if you're building a lineup like that, you have to make sure that you have salary available to take on a high-end play. So, for example, maybe one of your placeholders in a lineup like that is Giannis. Even though Giannis, his projection isn't really going to change based on the injury news. But if you build your lineup to where you have, say, Giannis and a lower end play, and then the news breaks, you can kind of flip that around. If the news doesn't break your way and you don't get that punt, well, maybe you can flip Giannis and a punt to 2 mid-range plays. So instead of Giannis and, a 4K play that you would have had as a punt, you end up with like Drew Holiday and Chris Paul or something like that. And your night's not necessarily over. Yeah, those guys don't break. Those guys don't grade out as the elite point per dollar plays on this slate, but you never know. I mean, those guys can have 50-plus point nights, and it's not just a close the laptop, you're done kind of thing. Okay. And you're probably not doing it with 3 or 4 lineups. I mean, it's a strategy you probably want to use if you're building 40, 50, 60 lineups. But you got to make sure you give yourself your flexibility. If you're waiting on 2 4K plays and then the news doesn't break your way, yeah, you're probably done because those spots haven't opened up. But if you've got at least one stud play from those games, you can always maneuver it around to a more balanced lineup. Does that make sense?
Yeah, great answer. Do you want to go through plays on FanDuel, or do you want to kind of save that for DK?
I usually do it on FanDuel. We can save it for DK tonight. The other kind of general thought I want to point out is it's probably unlikely that you get ceiling games from everybody on Golden State. So even if you're single entry building tonight, I think you maybe want to take a stand on one of the 4. There's 4 super chalky Golden State guys. Like one of those guys to take a stand against. For me, it's Ty Jerome because I just don't think he's very good. But he's 3,600 and he's going to be handling the ball. But you got to pick somebody. And for me, Jerome would be the guy that's probably the odd man out. I just don't think you want to go jamming 4 or 5 Warriors into one GPP lineup. So that's kind of my other strategy thought here for the night.
Okay, very good. And we'll get some of your individual plays as we move to DK. Speaking of which means let's walk through the DK build. You mentioned Maxey was one of the players. It's maybe a little different over on DraftKings.
Oh, yeah. I love Maxey tonight. And it's probably pretty close between like him and LeVert over there. Mm-hmm. As you can see, I mean, Jesus, I just pulled up our projections. It's like they're like basically a half of a point away from each other. So, and they're the exact same price. So there's 2 ways to go about that. One is you can just play them both, which I think you should.
Yeah.
So
that's what I do.
And then 2, I just prefer Maxey as a player. So I would, if you're like wanting to just pick one, I'm still going to stick to my Maxey guns on that one. But yeah, I think the DK build is relatively easy. There's a few sticking points, but we'll talk about them. Guard, I think you go Maxey Poole, and then like who you're putting here at the util spot could be Cards' boy Ty Jerome. He's only 3-1. I absolutely agree with his GPP take on him though, because like he's theoretically going to have the ball, but if he's starting, he's also playing with Poole. Like Poole's going to have the ball, so he could just be like a standing in the corner type of guy. I mean, they'll probably stagger him a little bit, but yeah, I agree with Cards' take on that. I think you absolutely can play him in cash games because he's 3-1. So he's one. D'Anthony Melton, I think they confirmed he's starting for Harden. He's only 4-4, much better price tag on DK. So I think that is about it. Levert's shooting guard, small forward. Oh yeah, Moody would be the other one. I didn't mention him. 3-4. You can definitely play him. So like the thing with Moody and Kuminga, Moody's going to probably play more minutes because he's a little higher on the pecking order as far as the young guys. Kerr trusts him a little more, but Kuminga is a much better per minute producer. But you're just not as certain about the minutes. Like Kuminga's actually has fallen out of the rotation recently. Obviously, it doesn't matter tonight because they have no one playing. But
it's a good opportunity to get the guy who's been falling out of the rotation to give him, see what he's got.
Yep, you nailed it. So he's also, you could probably still have a little shorter leash even with 10 bodies available. But yeah, I just prefer Kuminga slightly. But you can play both. Let's go to small forward, where I don't think there's too much to talk about here because you can play Kuminga there, you can play Durant there, you can play Levert there, you can play Moody there, and the Jalen McDaniels, the guy I didn't even talk about yet. He's probably gonna miss the cut for me just because of the amount of good plays. But I mean, this guy would literally be chalk on 80% of the slates this year. So he's only 4.5, and there's no Hayward, there's no Rozier, there's no LaMelo, there's no Cody Martin. So like if you're wondering why Jalen McDaniels is popping, that would be why. And there's a little weird thing in his box score from the last game. He had 7 stocks, which is hard to repeat. But he also had a career high in field goal attempts, and he just shot like crap. So there's a little give and take there that I think there's, if you're game log watching and trusting what it is, like maybe that is close to right because he shot like crap, but the stocks were, it's hard to do. So I do like him, but probably missing the cut. Probably already talked about him too much. Let's go to power forward, where we're going to hear similar names. Kuminga, McDaniels. I didn't talk about any of the Cavs' big front court yet. Little less needed on DK, I think, just the way that the roster build works. But Mobley's in play there. You're probably just automatically playing Kuminga at power forward, and then just lumping in those other guys I was talking about for your forward spot. The Moody's, the Jalen McDaniels, things like that. I think Tobias Harris is an okay last piece as well. Let's go to center. Bam is in play there. I think Wiseman is in play there. So that's the really, really tricky part here. So like, let's just say theoretically Looney and Wiseman, we know for sure they're playing the 48 center minutes tonight. How's Kerr going to split those up? Like, Looney's kind of turned into this Iron Man. He played all 82 games last year, but he doesn't like to play a ton of minutes. Played 29 last night, which I didn't double check his game log last year. If you looked at that, it'd probably be one of his highest minutes played of the year. So like, is this something where they play him like 20 minutes and give Wiseman 28? Do they give Wiseman 32 and like Looney 16, just like take it easy on the veteran? Like how that goes is going to be huge because Wiseman is really good per minute. And we have him at 22. So like you pump him up a couple minutes more, he's going to start flooding this center position because he's only 3.5. So I think you can play Wiseman in cash games. I think there's a lot of room up on the projection. If not, you're probably going in that upper mid tier range. Mobley, Jared Allen, Bam Adebayo. I think that's about it. Yeah, that's all I got.
Embiid is out.
No, awesome.
Told you.
At least we got it now, and so maybe this opens up more big men as well. But talk to me about how important this is. Obviously, as a rank compared to everything else.
Oh, it's important. It's really important because now that Harden's not playing, so like that's massively different than when Embiid has been out recently.
Yeah,
because before when Embiid was out, they would just start melting and they'd go small. Now we want to see who they're starting because it's like your Montrezl Harrell and Paul Reed's, and those guys are good per minute. So, here we go. Yeah, they're starting Harrell. So I cannot wait to see what our projections look like on Harrell. I want to see kind of where he fits in with all of these cheap. He's priced out. That sucks a little bit.
But regardless, because of his per minute production, he's absolutely in the DPP conversation.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I'll pass it over to cards and I'll start refreshing some projections over here.
Okay, cards. Talk to me about the game plan here, and if anything has changed with that news.
Yeah, it has. I mean, it becomes a lot tougher now to fade Melton and Maxey at their prices on DraftKings. And there's just going to be so much chalk on DK because of those couple of mispriced plays, plus the Warriors. The lineup is pretty easy to make on DraftKings tonight, which, that kind of chalky cash game lineup with Kuminga at 3K and the two Sixers guys, Poole, maybe another cheap Golden State guy. Some people will be playing McDaniels. Like, that lineup is going to be super popular tonight, and I would encourage you to not just play that chalk kind of cash game lineup in GPPs, because there's going to be so many 1v1s and 2v2s. It just makes it really hard. I think you got to find a few spots. Again, I already mentioned that I probably not playing Ty Jerome in GPPs. McDaniel's probably another guy that I'm underweight on in GPPs. You just got to find these guys that there's a path for them to not. If they only get you 20, I mean, that's not probably going to end up in the optimal GPP lineup. So Keon Johnson, maybe one guy of that cheap realm that I probably will play a little bit more of tonight, and he's also in one of the later games, so that fits the kind of wait and see approach. The chalkier build is also kind of stars and scrubsy tonight, so I think there's some mid-range plays you can really look at, and we've kind of talked about all the high-end guys and all the values that are in play. So I just highlight a couple of the mid-range guys at each position. Point guard, Cade Cunningham, Tyler Hero, I think is fine for tournaments tonight. Obviously, if you can get to Luka, he's 12-4 on DK, which is a tough ask at that salary, but the guy's been over like 55 fantasy points every night, so totally fine with that if you've got the value to make him fit tonight, because he's capable of being the top overall scorer on the slate. You're looking at kind of shooting guard, small forward. Desmond Bane priced up to 7,900 on DK, so that'll keep people off of him. Buddy Hield, Paul George, those are a few guys I've highlighted at the wing spots on DraftKings. You start looking at the power forward spot. Julius Randle, I think tonight, really interesting for the Knicks with that Sixers news with no Embiid. Whatever the Sixers are throwing out there in the front court is not going to be elite defensively. Randle, so far this year, I mean, his numbers have been, by the standards that we've come to expect from him, very disappointing. And the minutes have been down, which is a concern. But in a competitive game on the road with the guys that are missing for the Sixers, I think this could be the smash game for Julius Randle at 7,500. He's one of my favorite tournament plays. Josh Hart, another guy with the Portland's injury issues that I think you could consider. Towns, pending that injury news for Minnesota, totally fine plugging him into some GPP lineups. He doesn't kill you anyway, even if Gobert is active at 8,800. Nurkic, Adebayo, another guy I really like in tournaments, assuming we get confirmation that he's good to go. That game does start right away at 7, so we should have that if we don't already. That if he's starting at 7,700 against the Pacers, I think he's a really good tournament play as well.
Okay, very good. Means anything you want to clean up here after kind of looking at the latest, kind of getting with the crew there, the projection team?
Nope, nothing I need to clean up.
Okay, you've done it perfectly then. We've got 10 minutes here for some QQs, so let's get to it. I imagine there will be a lot of them, and I'm going to jump on over to the RG Discord. If you're not hanging out there with us, you should be. Well, let's knock out some of these questions here. We'll start with Gamble28. He says, Means, FanDuel Cash, Giannis Moody or LeBron Mobley?
Oh, the LeBron Mobley one for sure.
Okay, very good. This is FanDuel single entry cards. This is for you. Luka McDaniel Adams, or Paul Allen Zinger?
I don't love either, to be totally honest. I kind of like the first one, but I'm not in love with Adams. So if you can rework the first one and get somebody instead of Adams, that's probably what I would do.
Very good. All right. DK's single entry cards is for you, making you work for it. Last piece 6,200 or less. I assume this is in the util spot. Who you got?
Mobley is 6,100. He's going to project the best. He'll also be the most popular. I mean, maybe somebody like Buddy Hield would be fine for tournaments. Like, that's kind of a dead zone for upside plays. I mean, if you don't have Mobley already, that's a spot where I probably would eat the chalk with him.
Okay, very good. Who benefits the most on the Knicks with Embiid out, Randall or Brunson? And Cards, you kind of mentioned.
I love Randall tonight.
Yeah,
I mean, they both do, but I love Randall now.
Very good. NBA DFS says FanDuel Cash means you want Hero and Jared Allen or Tobias and Lowry. I imagine Harris gets a decent bump without Harden and Embiid.
Yeah, I want to say that's going to be the Harris one. They're both fine. I'll say that. I know our projections just updated, so if you throw one to Cards real quick, I'll have an affirmative answer on that here in a second.
Sure. Do you like Sumner over Jerome as a pivot in FanDuel GPPs? Cards from J Sams.
Yeah, I mean, the ownership difference is going to be huge on those two guys tonight, and I don't like Jerome that much, so yes, I do. I think that's the perfect way to approach a tournament build tonight.
Very good.
I got mine. I forgot Harris. I forgot how those prices were. Harris is way more expensive on FanDuel, so those are both fine. I prefer the non-Harris one. Whoever asked that, the different ones there.
Very good. Okay, let's see. FanDuel Cash means Allen and Moody or Trez and LeVert.
Allen and Moody or Trez. Let me double check, see where we landed on Trez here. I bet looks like we went basically. Yeah, the non-Trez one. We're not that high on Trez.
Okay. GM28 all day says Giannis and LeVert or LeBron and PG-13. By the way, yell out Mr. Andy Means for me.
The first one.
All right, very good. Mike says Cards, FanDuel GPP. Oh, okay. Your top two studs. That's a good question. Like Giannis, KD, Luka, Bron, AD. I'll throw Siakam in that mix because he's balling.
In tournaments, I mean, it's hard to pass up on the ownership of Luka. So I like him a lot. I think Paul George is interesting. I mean, I'm with Meansy on Durant. I think if I had to pick one that I feel has a big ceiling tonight, it's Durant. So let's go Luka, Durant, Paul George in that order.
Okay, Cards, I have a personal question. I've got 5K left in the forward spot. I'm going to hit Meansy with some, but if you could help me, I would appreciate it.
Are you on DraftKings?
Yeah, DK. All right, let's see. DK Cash means, did you change any core tags?
I just put in Tobias because he's 5'8" on DK. It's way different, like 7'4" on FanDuel.
Okay, very good. No Giannis in DK Cash means? Are we starting to get the money where?
I think it's Durant, and then you're just hammering in anybody who's like 3 to 6K.
Yeah.
So no Giannis for me.
Okay, Cards, you got to answer for me.
Yeah, that range kind of stinks. So do you have Moody and or Keon Johnson in that lineup?
No. Do that and upgrade somewhere else.
I think you play one of those guys, and then you got $1,600.
All right, I can do that.
How many Warriors do you have in that lineup?
I don't know, and I don't want to waste any more for anybody else.
Fair enough.
Yeah, it's a buck. It'll be fine. Let's see. FanDuel Cash, Moody or Kuminga straight up?
Kuminga slightly. I think they're both fine.
Okay, very good. Is Harrell viable, a sneaky FanDuel center in GPPs, even though his projection isn't all that pretty? I feel like his projection is about to be quite pretty.
Yeah, I think Meansy mentioned we didn't go super high on him, and they haven't really been inclined to like give him very much run. He hasn't played more than 17 minutes yet, but he's always been a stud per minute wise. So like, he's very risky. But if I'm building a bunch of lineups tonight, I'll have him in some.
Okay. You want if you're a tournament player, you want to see that projection where it is.
Yeah,
because that means people running vanilla settings are just not going to get him in anything. His ownership can be so low. And if they let him like play the Embiid light roll, like he plays 32 minutes and we have him for 24, like he's going to get like 40 FanDuel points.
Yeah. Okay. Let's see here. DK Cash. You got about 2-3 minutes left, guys. Aiton or Allen or the turtle?
Allen.
Okay. Who's? Oh yeah, we like Allen.
Turtle.
Oh,
I think he meant Turtle the Turtle. Yeah.
Turtle the Turtle. Yeah, of course.
Yeah, definitely.
All right.
Allen.
Actually caught up on some of those the Discord questions, so now I'm in the YouTube here. McDaniels, I'll call it Cash. McDaniels Mobley or Harrell Mobley?
McDaniels Mobley. So I think that was our first person who doesn't know algebra this season.
Yeah. So you eliminate one from each side. If you just cut the Mobley off each side, it's McDaniels Harrell is the question.
I'm sorry. I always make fun of people who do that. Sorry.
Yeah, it's okay. But it is relevant, though, to throw in the other guy for correlation. Noel Huffman says FanDuel. Gary Trent for FanDuel? That was just a question. Gary Trent for FanDuel?
That's a Cards question.
Cards? Gary Trent?
I am not playing him tonight. But I kind of poo-pooed him. What did they play last night? Maybe it was a couple nights ago. I poo-pooed him when he was chalk, and then he went off. So I hesitate to do it again, but I am not playing him on a big slate.
Very good. Steven says, T9 says Mobley or Melton on FanDuel. Means you still Mobley over there?
Yeah, I would do Mobley over there.
Very good. DKGPP, last two in, Giannis Hero or Durant Tatum?
Yeah, that's a good question. Give me Durant Tatum, but it's close.
Jordan says DK Cash, Bam McDaniels or Trez Zion?
First one.
NBA DFS, FanDuel Cash, Jerome or Sumner? Means?
Jerome.
If he starts.
Oh, I'm sorry. You're probably not going to know that. So you got to make a decision in 1 minute. So I'd play Jerome.
Okay, very good. BHB DK Cash means 2v2. Bam Moody or Allen Melton?
Allen Melton, easily.
Very good. Okay, guys, we are quickly approaching the lock. Less than a minute left. If you haven't hit the thumbs up button on the YouTube, you should do it. It's free show. You just hit the thumbs up. That's all we ask. Tobias or Randall straight up means got to go Tobias now. Oh wait, straight up.
Yeah, that's tough straight up. I'd still think it's Tobias, honestly.
Okay. Steven says, I went Jaylen Brown. Wish me luck. I landed in that same spot and almost did it. I couldn't do it.
You had a weird one. He was just like downgraded to questionable like a half hour ago. And then 15 minutes after that, they said, oh, he's playing. So I was like, all right. Thanks for telling us, I guess. Most people don't tell us.
Right. That's so true. That's such a good point. All right. Hey, we hit the lock. Two things I want to discuss. One is I don't remember if it was, yeah, we'll get to that. I don't remember if it was last night or the night before, but someone asked, who's the chalk player you don't want? And I said, it's that freaking Cody Martin or Caleb Martin or whoever it is.
That was 2 nights ago. Yeah. Did he suck? He sucked, right?
I'm pretty sure he sucked.
Good job, Roth.
Thank you. I just looked at that guy. You know, I look at game logs. That's what I do. I'm like, this guy doesn't do anything. I don't care if he's out there for 40 minutes. He doesn't do anything. You're not going to do anything. Some players, like myself, just don't do anything. We just sit there and pass the ball to other people. You don't get stats for that unless it leads directly to something. All right. Second, I got wine drunk. I got good and drunk because I'm used to drinking wine like it's beer. Like I drink at the beer pace.
You slug it?
Yeah, I don't know how to sip it. So I'm just like glug glug glug, pour up, glug. So I got quite drunk, and then I woke up, and the craziest thing was I woke up, and my stomach didn't feel terrible. Like if you get beer drunk, you wake up in the morning and you just feel like
you're in the old restroom for about 2 or 3 different times. Yeah.
Immediately, yeah. Like as soon as you wake up, you're like, all right, got to make that happen. But I wasn't. I woke up and I was like, why does my stomach feels normal? It was crazy. And it made me want, and I didn't think the wine hangover was that bad either.
It's not that bad. It's going to be even better if you don't like slug it like beer. You know, if you like slowly drink it, it'll be even better.
I'm just going to have to gradually like pace into that because I'm still just used to, I get the drink in my hand, I drink it. But I'm in. Bottom line is that while that was my first time getting wine drunk, there will be a second time
Love to hear that.
Let you know how it goes. Let's see. Cloud says, dang, I imported 10 lineups, only 2 players not starting at 7 p.m. And the 2 guys not at 10, as regards to start, are 3,400 and 3K.
Yeah, you got
So
a
it
problem.
doesn't give you that flexibility that you want. Let's see. I'm going to peep in the Discord real fast. Okay, here we go. FanDuel GPP cards. I usually like to correlate my lineups to the max, but with so many good plays not correlating as much today, I've got a bunch of one-offs. Is that good or bad?
I mean, on a slate like this, 3, 6, 12 games, like, it's fine. There's going to be, it's not like, baseball where if a game is 15-12 and goes 12 innings, you just got to have the stack. You get an outlier that goes 4 OTs or something, then yeah, but the odds of predicting which of the 12 games that's going to be, it's just, you don't necessarily have to worry about having X number of players from each game on a slate this size. So you're fine.
Okay.
Van Vliet got ruled out.
What does that do?
It
Not a lot, honestly. Not on this slate, yeah.
Thank God. Yeah. Good. Okay. Well, then with that, we will close things out right here, right now for Mr. Andy Means, for STL Cards, for our wonderful production team, always working hard behind the scenes. Guys, we appreciate you. We love you. And we will catch you tomorrow. You have been crunched.